Have you ever heard of a man named Samson? He was able to do some pretty amazing things. But where did his strength come from? And how was he able to do those things? Let's go find out. The Bible tells us in Judges 13 about a time when the nation of Israel turned from God and did wrong things. What happened? God told them that if they obeyed him, he would bless them. But he'd also warned them that if they disobeyed, one of the things that would happen is they would be defeated by their enemies. And that's what happened. They were defeated by their enemies? Yes, God allowed them to be under the control of the Philistines for 40 years. Then one day, the angel of the Lord appeared to a woman in Israel who wasn't able to have children. When the angel came to her, he said, "You shall conceive and bear a son." Then he told her this son would be a Nazirite, and he would deliver Israel from the Philistines. What's a Nazirite? It was someone who was set apart for God and followed special rules. They couldn't do things like touch anything dead, drink wine, or cut their hair. The woman had a son, just like the angel said, and she named him Samson. The Lord blessed Samson and was with him, and God gave Samson the strength and ability to do amazing things. Like one day when he was walking and was attacked by a lion. He killed the lion with just his hands. Or when he was trapped in a city, so he tore the gates right off the gateposts and carried them up to the top of a hill. Or when he was tied with ropes and delivered to the Philistines. He broke out of the ropes and attacked and killed 1,000 Philistines. Samson had amazing strength, but that strength wasn't something he had by himself. It came from God. Samson was set apart for God, and God gave him the strength to do those incredible things. Did you know if you're a child of God, then your strength comes from God too? So does that mean I can fight lions and break apart ropes? No, not strength like that. He gives you the strength to do what's right and show self-control. Self-control? What's that? It's saying no to the desire to do the wrong thing and instead choosing to do what's right. And God gives you the strength to do that. Jesus said in John 15:5, "I am the vine, you are the branches. He who abides in me and I in him bears much fruit. For without me, you can do nothing." What does that mean? You might feel like you can't show self-control, and on your own, you can't. Like a branch, if it's not connected to anything, how much can it produce? It can't produce anything. It has to be connected to the vine to do that. And it's only by being in a relationship with God that you have the strength to show true self-control. If you're a child of God, you have the strength, through God working in you, to do what's right. And I want to challenge you every morning when you wake up to ask God to help you use the strength he has given you to do what's right and show self-control. Kind of like how God gave Samson strength. Remember, God wanted to use Samson to deliver Israel from the Philistines. But some of the Philistines found out that Samson loved a woman named Delilah. So they went to her. They wanted to capture and defeat Samson. So they asked Delilah to find out where Samson's strength came from. And they would pay her 1,100 pieces of silver. Doesn't look like Samson was showing self-control if he loved a woman who was willing to help the Philistines. So Delilah went to Samson to ask him where his strength came from. Samson told her, "If they bind me with 7 fresh bowstrings not yet dried, then I shall become weak and be like other men." So the Philistines brought her 7 fresh bowstrings and she bound Samson with them. But Samson broke out. Delilah realized he hadn't told her the truth, so she asked him again. Samson told her that if he was tied with new ropes, he would become weak and be like other men. But when she bound him with new ropes, he broke them like thread. She asked him a 3rd time, and he told her she had to weave his locks of hair into a loom. So she did that, but that didn't stop Samson either. So she kept pestering and pestering him until finally he gave in and told her. He said, "No razor has ever come upon my head, for I've been a Nazirite to God from my mother's womb. If I'm shaven, then my strength will leave me, and I shall become weak and be like any other man." So while he was sleeping, she had his hair cut. Then his strength was gone, and the Philistines were able to capture Samson. Now, wait a minute. Did Samson's strength come from his hair? No, but it wasn't just that his hair was cut. The Bible also says the Lord had departed from him. Samson was not showing self-control and obeying God, and God was no longer going to use him to fight against the Philistines. Remember, God was the source of Samson's strength. The Philistines captured Samson and put out his eyes. One day, they had a celebration to worship their made-up god. Then the Philistines brought out Samson to make fun of him. They put him between 2 of the pillars that held up the roof of the temple. Then Samson prayed to God that God would give him strength one more time. And God did. Samson pressed against the pillars of the temple, and the temple collapsed on Samson and all the Philistines that were there. And Samson killed more Philistines through his death than he did when he was alive. That's not really a happy ending. No, God may have been with Samson and given him great strength. However, Samson didn't always show self-control in the decisions he made. But you don't have to be like that. Remember, if you're God's child, God is your source of strength, and He gives you the strength to show self-control and do what's right. And if you're not God's child, you don't have the strength to show self-control. But you can learn more about how you can become God's child by watching the God's Gift video linked in the description. I'll see you next time.